Bringing you the news from here at home and across the world. This is Primetime News, live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Adushka Balasuriya. Now, Newsfirst Gamma gets underway in Polonnaruwa. The program, which is a platform to discuss grievances of the public, focuses its attention on the drought-hit Polonnaruwa district.
That's right. We'll be taking a look at this story later on in the bulletin. But before that, here's a look at your headlines for tonight.
President announces $1 million in financial assistance to Palestine. Ongoing conflict delays the repatriation of Sri Lankans from Iraq. Sri Lanka lacks sufficient regulations for cosmeticians. A statement by the Cosmetics and Drugs Regulatory Authority. Emergency meeting called to iron out prevailing administrative issues in Sri Lanka cricket.
Well, let's now take a look at those stories in detail. The Sri Lankan embassy in Iraq says delays have arisen in the process of repatriating 27 Sri Lankan nationals who were taken into the custody of the Kurdish military in northern Iraq. The embassy notes that the prevailing conflict situation in Iraq has caused the delay in repatriating the Sri Lankan citizens who had originally travelled to Iraq for work.
Close to 2,000 Sri Lankans are working in and around the city of Erbil in Kurdistan, northern Iraq. Acting Ambassador to Iraq, H.S. Premasiri, noted, however, that the embassy does not possess records of all Sri Lankans in the country. The embassy notes that while the Sri Lankan embassy in Iraq was only established in 2012, Sri Lankan expatriate workers had travelled there prior to the establishment of the embassy through various channels. 37 Sri Lankan nationals working at the main airport in Erbil were taken into the custody of the Kurdish military. 10 were deported to Sri Lanka yesterday. 27 are still languishing in Iraq.
There were more than 200 Sri Lankans working in the airport. Now a problem has arisen where a group have to return to Sri Lanka. When they spoke to the airport management, they were told to give 1 month's notice. Those were the rules of the contract. When the tensions flared, these persons did not come to work and staged what was akin to a strike. It is following this that all of this happened. They say that if this group is to be deported, they must be taken to a central camp. They say it is only afterwards that the group can be deported. 10 of them had been sent back as of yesterday. There are another 27 who have been detained. They are not in a camp, they are staying in a hotel. We made inquiries. If we are leaving the embassy, then we must leave with security. The situation here is very dangerous, although we are continuing to function. It has not been reported to us as yet that any of them are in military custody.
When I was the minister involved in international affairs, we dispatched a team of representatives to a country when such a situation arises. They will hold discussions with the respective institutions in that country and try to find a solution. There have been numerous occasions in which we have done so. Even in this instance, the government has taken measures. Of the 37, 27 have been brought back to the country, while the remaining 10 will arrive this evening. A Sri Lankan national who returned to the island yesterday spoke to Newsfirst regarding his experiences in Iraq.
They brought a list with 37 names. They handcuffed all 37 of us and took us under their custody. I'm not sure if our employer paid them. They took us to a hotel and kept us in one room. They only gave us buns and water.
Although the group of Sri Lankans had been working at the Erbil airport for close to 2 years, they had not been registered with Iraq's Ministry of Labour.
Once they arrived in Iraq and went to Kurdistan, they should have been registered under the ministry. That has not happened. We contacted the Labour Ministry regarding this problem. They say they cannot take any steps. There is a problem where there are no flights coming into Erbil from other countries.
We have dispatched a team and they have held discussions. The 37 persons have requested that they be sent back to Sri Lanka. So plans are made to bring them back. By this evening, all of them will be in Sri Lanka. A special meeting was held this afternoon between officials from the Ministry of External Affairs and the Foreign Employment Bureau regarding the situation.
This group will reach Sri Lanka within 3 days. They have not faced any issue as pointed out by them. The officials who visited the location through the consulate in Baghdad have reported to us that no such incident had taken place.
The Cosmetics, Devices and Drugs Regulatory Authority, or CDDA, notes that prevalent laws are insufficient to regulate cosmetic surgeries. Following the death of a female doctor at a cosmetic surgery in Bambalapitiya, the attention of many factions have been drawn towards introducing a legal framework for the regulation of such surgeries.
The premises at which the lady doctor passed away were inspected today by a special team including the government analysts, a judicial medical officer and officials of the Ministry of Health. The police say that the inspection was conducted on an order of the Colombo Magistrates Court. Stock of drugs and medical equipment had been seized during the inspection. The doctor who operated the cosmetic surgery is currently in remand custody. The Government Medical Officers Association meanwhile claims to have notified the relevant authorities of the practices of the doctor in question prior to this incident.
නිර්වින්දක වෛද්‍යවරුත් නැතිව මේ පුහුණු හෙදසා අනිකුත් කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයක් නැතිව
How was this practice, which operated without an anesthesiologist and a trained nursing staff, able to register under the Private Practice Ordinance? The Plastic Surgeons Association noted in 2011 that surgeries of this sort were being performed at this practice and that this was not at the level of an accepted surgery. Once the Ministry of Health and other authorities were informed of this, why did they not take any action?
The Private Regulatory Council has registered him not as a specialist but as a general practitioner in Sri Lanka. We are conducting a special investigation.
Newsfirst made inquiries regarding the matter from Cabinet spokesperson Minister K.L. Rambukwale today.
It is necessary to introduce new laws to register cosmetic surgeries without allowing them to continue registering as business establishments. Does the government have any ideas? I believe it is still too early, but one factor is clear. Attention is being drawn towards this matter, but I think there needs to be a much broader discussion, and it is following the results of such a discussion that we should decide on the status of cosmetic surgeries.
People in the Lunugam Vehera Administrative Division in Hambantota have begun digging wells in the middle of the Kirindi Oya in search for drop of water as the prevailing drought takes a heavy toll on their lives. 3,000 families in the area are facing this water shortage.
The Kirindoya scheme provides water to several Grama Nildari divisions, including Devram-Behera and Bogahavava. However, as a result of the severe drought plaguing these areas and the complete shutdown of the Kirindoya scheme, the public are showing signs of desperation in their search for drinking water.
The drought has left the Kirindi Oya barren. Area residents are left with no choice but to dig in search of drinking water.
Area residents say that although they have informed authorities of the need for a stable water supply system, given that the Kirindi Oya dries up whenever a drought arises, no steps have been taken to establish such a system.
We ask that these MPs and ministers get together and get rid of this community scheme if need be and join this with the Lunugam Vehera scheme. They are not unable to give us drinking water. There is plenty of water to give us that has been stored in the tanks in the Lunugam Vehera scheme. There is no way they can supply us with water from the tanks on this river. You can see how it has dried up.
Although there are several tube wells that have been set up for the affected populace, these are unusable. Area residents say that they have constantly asked authorities to repair these tube wells. Every year, these 3 to 4 months become unbearable. They said it will be done by the end of this year, but that will be after the drought, and they will not remember it until the next drought that they must provide water for us village folk. Meanwhile, Newsfirst together with Estom provided water tanks to drought-hit people of Madrigiria today to fulfill their drinking water needs. The water tanks were presented to Madrigiria Divisional Secretary Thilini Kiragala at an event held at the Divisional Secretariat.
Moving on to a story we highlighted at the top of the news. The Newsfirst Gammat the program, which provides a platform for the public to take their issues directly to their public representatives and officials, was recorded live in Madrigiria today. Newsfirst's Amila Balasurya reports.
මෙලෙස සජීවීව පටිගත කරුණේ මැදිරිගිරිය ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්වරයාගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන්.
The Gammat the program was recorded under the auspices of the Divisional Secretary of Madrigiria, the Director of Irrigation in Polonnarua, the Irrigation Engineer in Kaudulla, and other officials are participating in the program. The officials made submissions regarding the cause for the problems here and steps that can be taken to prevent such problems from arising in the future. The people who participated in the program were satisfied with the responses. So we believe that the people of Madrigiria who have been suffering from a chronic water shortage for several months will soon receive a solution to their problems.
ජනතාවට කඩිනමින් විසඳුමක් ලැබෙවි කියලා. Newsfirst වෙනුවෙන් අමිල බාලසූරිය මැදිරිගිරිය මීගස්සව පතුලේ සිට.
Well, the weather report is next with Newsfirst Katrina Chang.
A very good evening and welcome to Weather First, where we bring you the forecast for the next 24 hours. Now taking a look at the western part of the island, showers may be experienced in the western, Sabragamo and central parts of the island, as well as the Gaul and Matra districts. Now these thunder showers or showers may spread towards the northwestern parts of the island as well. Now showers may also be experienced in the Uva and eastern parts of the island during the afternoon and night. And as a result, strong winds as well as thunder showers may be experienced in these areas. The Department of Meteorology also advised the public to take precautionary measures against thunder showers or lightning related activities.
Now shifting gears into some sports news, the President of Sri Lanka Cricket Jayantha Dharmadasa and SLC Secretary Nishantha Ranatunga met with Sports Minister Mahinda Ananda Alutgamage today in a bid to resolve prevailing administrative conflicts.
The SLC Executive Committee convened under Sports Minister Mahinda Ananda Alutgamage this evening. A group including SLC President Jayantha Dharmadasa, Secretary Nishantha Ranatunga and Treasurer Nuski Mohammed participated at the meeting, which was held at the Ministry of Sports. Chairman of Selectors Sanat Jayasuriya also participated in the meeting as a member of the SLC Executive Committee. A communique issued by the Ministry of Sports noted that differences of opinion among SLC Executive Committee members were openly discussed at the meeting, which lasted close to 2 hours. The communique reads that the Minister of Sports had noted that allowing such minor differences of opinion to grow further would not be conducive to the future of cricket in Sri Lanka. The communique issued by the Ministry of Sports noted that all factions had agreed during the meeting to work towards the future of cricket in Sri Lanka.
Well, Mahi, can you feel that? Yes, the election fever is heating up.
Yeah, and public representatives, politicians are expressing their views on the election platform. Let's take a look at these views on the battle for Uva.
They use this as a tool to attack us when we have undertaken a journey to achieve development. If this needs to be stopped, another administration from a different country will have to take over the administration.
Look at the development. They bathe in milk. The farmer is left destitute. There is no water to drink. This is a state that they have brought the country to.
They use the same slogans during every election. A lake dries out as a result of the drought. They say that the minister erased all the water. Whenever a lake or tank dries out, they point the finger at the minister and say that the minister is excavating for treasure. They will make any statement to gain the people's vote.
We believe the public will welcome us. We created this force to make a country where 20 million people can live independently. Our objective is not to create henchmen.
They continue to lie. They are surrounded with individuals who support this cause. They are attempting to garner support internationally to destroy us.
We can see the signs ahead of us. We toured the villages. People are expecting a change.
Ashen Taraka Gamage at the Newsfirst Uva Election Bureau filed this update on preparations for the provincial council polls.
The issuing of preferential numbers for candidates contesting the Uva Provincial Council poll from both the Badulla and Monoragala districts concluded yesterday. The issuing of preferential numbers went ahead without incident. The situation in Uva today was largely peaceful. Candidates are hastening to commence their campaigning in earnest. We witnessed campaign posters at various locations in the Badulla town. In certain locations, the police have taken steps to remove such campaign posters. We witnessed police special task force mobile patrols that were roaming around Mahiyangania in the Monoragala district today. However, it can be said that the Monoragala district too is largely peaceful.
You're watching News First. In more local news, train services along the coastal line that were disrupted owing to a protest staged by a group of individuals in Ratmalana have been restored. The railway's control room said that a train plying from Mathura to Kandy and an office train were delayed as a result. The demonstration lasted for over an hour and the operations on the coastal line were restored.
Meanwhile, President Mahinda Rajapaksa has decided to donate $1 million as aid for Palestinians affected by the conflict in Gaza. A communique issued by the presidential spokesperson and international media unit notes that ongoing airstrikes in the Gaza Strip have captured the attention of the president. In a message on Twitter, President Rajapaksa also expressed his hope that the conflict in the Gaza Strip would cease and that peace would dawn.
The final rites of the late actress Rebecca Nirmali, best known for her role in the popular teledrama Vedahamine, were observed this evening at the Borala Public Cemetery. 49-year-old Rebecca lost her battle with cancer last morning and breathed her last at the cancer hospital in Maharagama.
The body of the late actress was placed at the National Art Gallery this morning for the public to pay their last respects. President Mahinda Rajapaksa also paid his last respects to the late actress. Leader of the Democratic Party, Sarath Fonseca, and his wife were also present to pay their respects. She made her teledrama debut in 1987 as Vedahamine and made appearances in many others, including Nirmali, Vadiyaralla, Sekku Gedara, Jeevitaya Sundarai, Kapsuwa Haskal, Rattaliya Walawwa, Monaratanna, Akala Sandhya, Minipura Hatana, Adaruwantayo, Nisaladiya Sasalaviya, Dandubas Namanaya, Kadalu Tahanshiya and Diya Sayam. She also contributed with her acting skills in Adara Sandavanya, currently telecast on our sister channel, Sirasa TV.
The Ministry of External Affairs has expressed its regret over the comments made to the media by the outgoing UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navanidham Pillai. This is in relation to the investigation on Sri Lanka that has been undertaken by the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. In its communique, the Minister of External Affairs says that the High Commissioner, who is scheduled to leave the office at the end of this month, making public pronouncements to the media on an investigation which has commenced only recently, is a clear indication of personal bias. The communique goes on to say that it is evidence of an attempt to influence the investigation process and make it follow a preconceived trajectory. The communique further reads, quote, "She refers in her statement to a wealth of information outside Sri Lanka. This is the same wealth of information that she has tended to refer to in the past, justifying it to be from credible sources, although their origins continue to remain undisclosed and verification has not been facilitated," unquote. The Minister of External Affairs says instead, Pillay has sought to endorse exaggerated claims of former UN sources of spurious credentials by including such uncorroborated statistics in UN documentation. On Monday, the UN Human Rights Chief, Navi Pillay, said that the United Nations can conduct an effective investigation into reports of war crimes in Sri Lanka without visiting the country. She made this comment reacting to the Sri Lankan government's decision to deny investigators entry into the country.
80 homes in low-lying areas have been inundated due to a blockage at the river mouth of the Madhu River. The flooding has prevailed for 2 weeks.
Area residents charge that due to the blockage of the river mouth of the Madhu River, these areas are flooded even during minor showers. The villages of Ovilana and Pathamulla in Balapitiya have been affected by the flooding. The main approaches to the villages are also submerged. Area residents say that the constant overflowing of the river also poses a risk of crocodiles in the river encroaching on human settlements. About 2 months have passed since the river was blocked. Raw sewage has mixed with the water and you cannot walk without your feet itching. Children are contracting contagious diseases.
It was flooded thrice in 5 months. People cannot work because of the floods. It flooded twice last month. Children cannot go to school wearing shoes. The Grama Niladhari comes here and takes a look at the road and goes away. He does not come to the houses because his trousers will get wet. They are afraid of the water and we are living in it.
It's now time for Action TV.
The Minister of Education lodged a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department yesterday, requesting the CID to investigate whether certain persons are involved in an anti-state conspiracy by acting to deteriorate the trust placed in examinations and the Department of Examinations. Speaking to the media after lodging his complaint, the minister noted that the complaint had been prompted by reports of flaws in this year's advanced level economics question paper. While 2 lecturers at the Ruhunu University highlighted the flaws in the question paper on Action TV on the 7th of this month, the problems they highlighted were later confirmed by lecturers from the Colombo, Peradeniya and Kalaniya universities. On the 12th of May, a group of 39 university lecturers, including 10 professors, addressing a letter to the Commissioner General of Examinations, requested that he appoint a qualified person to compile this year's advanced level economics question paper without allowing the examinations process to become politicized. This was what the Commissioner of Examinations had to say to this letter. Anyone has the right to criticize the Examinations Department. I receive such complaints from time to time. We receive thousands of letters from persons pointing out shortcomings and presenting different modes of operation. They have a right to do that and there is no problem with that. They have the ability to express ideas and make proposals. We posed the same question to the Minister of Education after he had lodged his complaint with the CID yesterday. At a media briefing convened today, a question was posed to the Federation of University Teachers Associations, or FUTA, regarding the situation that has arisen. That is the problem. This will not do. We are asking that this process be removed from any political agenda and that it be looked at independently. It is pointless to just talk about it.
A development program is underway to beautify the city of Nuwara, one of the primary tourist centres in the country. The first phase of this development program around the Gregory Lake has been completed.
Many developments will take place to fulfill the requirements of foreign and local tourists visiting Nuwara.
සංචාරකයන් ගෙන්වා ගැනීම සඳහා තමයි මේ ග්‍රිගරියව අපි සංවර්ධනය කරන්නේ.
We have developed Lake Gregory with the intention of attracting tourists. Walking paths, cycle paths, environment-friendly zones and flower beds have been made for this purpose.
Footpath, cycle tracks, ඒ වගේම හරිත ඒරියා, ඒ වගේම මල්පාති සියලු දේම සංවර්ධනය කරලා තියෙනවා මේ සංචාරකයන් උදෙසා.
The planning of the project was monitored by the Urban Development Authority. The development plans were initiated with the collaboration of the Nuwara Municipal Council, Urban Development Authority and the Ministry of Tourism. The project was funded by the Japan Bank for International Cooperation. The Lake Gregory Development Program will provide benefits not only for the tourists visiting the hill country, but also serve to increase the incomes of the populace and the Nuwara Municipal Council.
In your business news tonight, the Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning, Senior Minister Dr. Sarath Amunagama, notes that the government has been made to earn a major proportion of its revenue from social vices such as cigarettes and alcohol. The minister made this statement at an event held in Colombo today.
The 63rd convention of the All Ceylon Excise Sergeants and Guards Association was held in Colombo today under the auspices of Senior Minister Dr. Sarath Amunagama.
අයවැය සකස් කරනකොට බලන දෙයක් තමයි කොහෙන්ද අපි මේ ආදායම ලබා ගන්න. ඒ ආදායම වැඩි වශයෙන් ගන්න කොටසක්.
When we prepare the budget, one of the factors we look at is where are we going to earn revenue. Usually, we are made to secure that revenue from sectors which society does not consider to be good. This is criticized in Parliament quite often. If you are saying no to this as a matter of principle, then there is a problem as to how you are going to generate revenue. We cannot fix people's tastes through the law alone. We can see that there are people who consume alcohol and who smoke or are addicted to cigarettes. As a government, we must obtain the money that we should obtain from these sectors.
ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂක වශයෙන් පේනවා, සැබෑ වශයෙන් පේනවා මිනිස්සු මේවත් පාවිච්චි කරනවා, ඒවට බැහැ වෙලා ඉන්නවා. එහෙනම් ඒකෙන් රජය ලබාගත යුතු මුදල් ප්‍රමාණය අපි ලබා ගන්නවා.
Meanwhile, UPFA Western Provincial Councillor Hirunika Premachandra says she will take the fore in acting against persons who prevent officials from carrying out their duty in cases of alcohol and narcotics rackets. Alcohol and narcotics on one hand may generate revenue for a country. I'm not saying they are good things. On the other hand, however, alcohol and narcotics drag a country into the depths. I live in Kolanava, and in a week if you go for 10 funerals, 3 of them will be for persons who have died by consuming alcohol and narcotics. Who are the people to blame? They don't complain to persons in high positions. They complain to you and the police. But no one knows the backstory. There are people in the background who ask people to stop doing these things or to abandon these habits. When you listen to those people and carry out your duties, you may receive threats. But I promise you today that if you face any such problem, inform me and I will use my direct connection with the President to resolve the problem for you.
කෙලින්ම මට කතා කරන්න අනිවාර්යෙන් මගේ කෙලින්ම සම්බන්ධ තියෙන ජනාධිපතිතුමත් එක්ක කියලා ප්‍රශ්න විසඳලා දෙන්න.
A renewed truce between Israel and Hamas appears to be holding. Details on this story will come up later on in the news.
Still in your local news, the Institute of Policy Studies of Sri Lanka, or IPS, organised a conference on international policies for mainstreaming migration into development in Sri Lanka at the IPS auditorium today.
The event saw the participation of a number of guests, including the Minister of Foreign Employment, Promotion and Welfare, Dilan Pereira. The Labour Migration Information Resource Centre was officially launched by Minister Dilan Pereira.
To reduce the number of females pursuing foreign employment, the government of Sri Lanka is interested in diversifying migration in terms of skills as well as destinations. But this requires a clear understanding of the labour market for temporary migrant workers in potential destinations, the market structure there, the skill sets that are in demand and their existing supply foreign labour as well as Sri Lankan supply of migrant labour. While there is a lot of emphasis on the first 2 phases of migration, there is limited focus on the post-migration phase in Sri Lanka. The phase is important to consider because a majority of Sri Lankan migrants plan to return after working for a few years to accumulate savings.
The inauguration of Sri Lanka Plast and Rube Expo 2014, organised by the Plastics and Rub Institute of Sri Lanka and Enterprising Fairs India, was held today. The event was held under the auspices of Minister of Economic Development Basil Rajapaksa.
Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka YK Singha was a guest of honour.
India and Sri Lanka enjoy robust economic and commercial relations exemplified by the 14-year-old free trade agreement. India has the most balanced trade with Sri Lanka among her major trade partners, being not only the largest source of imports for Sri Lanka, but also the third largest export destination after USA and UK. Bilateral investments have also witnessed a substantial increase in recent times. Based on the natural synergies and complementarities between the two countries, the both sides are involved in continuing discussion to take the economic engagement to the next level.
Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Ajit Nivard Cabral, says that steps are being taken to create a stable economy for the next 15 years. He made this comment at an event held in Colombo yesterday.
The real economy has to be always supported with the financial sector. The financial sector is a mirror image of the real economy, and only if you have both those going in parallel at the same speed that we can have good results. And that's why you would have seen in the last several months the central bank taking the initiative together with the government to ensure that we have a stable financial sector for the next 15 years. That's why we are having all these consolidations taking place, so that we'll have more robust, safer and stable institutions.
In a scene straight out of a horror movie, the body of an American tourist has been found stuffed into a suitcase on the Indonesian island of Bali. The victim's daughter and her boyfriend have been arrested for what police suspect was a gruesome murder. The suitcase containing the body of 62-year-old Sheila von Wiesmack was found in the trunk of a waiting taxi on the resort island.
(6,221) days after earning his test cap, Mahala Jayawardene's life as a test cricketer became a full circle as he strode out for the last lap at the SSC, his favourite venue. The second test between Sri Lanka and the visiting Pakistanis commenced today at a packed SSC grounds in Colombo.
Everything seemed like it was as per the script. Bright skies, a firm pitch with nothing for the bowlers, Sri Lanka winning the toss and opting to bat, and a solid platform by the openers. The farewell of one of Sri Lanka's best batsmen couldn't have been planned any better. Sri Lanka got off to a solid opening with Upul Tharanga and Kaushal Silva putting on 79 runs for the first wicket. Kaushal was dismissed 9 runs short of a half-century by Junaid Khan. Kumar Sangakkara, who came in next, was dismissed for 22 runs by Wahab Riaz. Mahala Jayawardene arrived at the crease for the 251st time to a guard of honour by the Pakistani team and with the crackle of the fireworks in the background. In the 16 deliveries that he faced, he was dropped once by the wicket-keeper of Junaid Khan on 4 and failed to add a run as he was trapped by a sharp off-spinner from side Ajmal. Opener Upul Tharanga fell later for 92 runs, which also saw several Lankan wickets fall at regular intervals. At stumps on day one, Sri Lanka were 261 runs for the loss of 8 wickets.
Jayawardene is taken out of...
Well, that wraps up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Just a reminder before we go, you can catch Vantage Point with Dr. Dayan Jathilaka soon after this news bulletin on MTV Sports. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Madhushka Balasuriya. Thanks for stopping by.